Is this live? Do it live. Oh, now we're on. Okay, now this one works. See, I was doing this on my iPad mini. I think it's too dumb to actually do the live thing. So I'm on the other iPad, the newer one that I have, and it seems to be streaming to the U of the tubes. All right, so here's the deal. I put a video together today. I did the podcast today, and when I do the podcast, I have a separate camera, just a little camcorder that I record the podcast video-wise on, right? So I'm just doing the podcast, and I'm recording the video, and then for my Patreon subscribers, $5 and up, they get a video version of the podcast, right? And today I thought I would be nifty about it. Yes, I'm a nifty guy. I thought I would be nifty about it, and I put up a background, and I decided I was going to chroma key. You know what that is? Where you have the color in the back, and the computer takes that color out and leaves everything else, so you can be floating in air and all that cool stuff. I figured I would try that today. And I didn't have a green screen, but the truth is you don't need a green screen or a blue screen. You can use any color. And what I had was a great big red sheet. Yeah. So I put that back there and recorded the whole thing, and then I put it in the computer and was chroming that out. It didn't do a very good job. I actually need more distance between me and the chroma key, and it needs to be lit better. But it dropped a bunch of the stuff, and it was kind of neat. But what I found is the more funky stuff that you do to the video, the more likely it is to take a bazillion years for it to render that video out. So that's what the computer's doing. That's why I'm not in the studio. I'm, in fact, sitting on my couch using the backup plan, which is the iPad, to make all this stuff work. So there you go. But we are going to continue with the prep show today. I have got the one iPad that I'm streaming with, so that's pretty sweet. And then I've got my little iPad mini that is barely alive, I think. I wonder if you can reset these things or something, like clear the cache. I don't know, clear something. Anyway, so you're not going to be able to see the screen. All you're going to see is my pretty little face. But I can kind of go through the news here. We're going to try to keep this short tonight, you know, because we're faking it, really. I just wanted to make sure I didn't leave anybody high and dry with what was going on. And I'm not going to be able to take phone calls or anything like that, like it's been working in the past. I tried to take one on Discord the other night. I saw they messaged me, and they were trying to do it, couldn't quite figure it out. And they made the comment that it wasn't a very user-friendly site. And they're probably right, because I've never actually, used it before. I just thought it was cool and figured, well, this has got to work. If the gamers can do it, I could do it. But the truth is, gamers are a lot smarter than me, so that's how that works. What is going on? CNN going through some big stuff. Did you see the Project Veritas thing today? I put it on the podcast. That was like the lead story that we talked about. James O'Keefe and the wonderful people at Project Veritas. They do all the undercover videos. They've caught a bunch of people and a bunch of lies. And so they're doing this undercover video with a CNN producer, apparently a senior producer, muckety-muck type guy. And I guess the guy has no idea that it's being recorded and this, that, and the other thing. And they're talking fairly openly and frankly about the Russia story that CNN keeps running. And he's saying, yeah, we haven't got anything. Yeah, there's nothing there. There's literally no evidence of anything. But as long as we keep it up, our ratings are high, right? It's all for ratings. The entire story that keeps bubbling up is all for ratings. And he made really a couple of good points. I played a bunch of the audio on the podcast, so you can go to michaelnewmanproductions.com. The link to the SoundCloud where that podcast is on there is right on the front of the page. So just click the button, and that's the podcast with the James O'Keefe stuff, and it's the first thing on the podcast. So you can go check that out. But he makes several good points there, and it's a joke. The whole thing is a joke, but the mainstream media is taking it so seriously, it's sort of ridiculous. Let's see here. Lex Harris, CNN investigative editor, traveled to a journalism conference in Phoenix last week. In hindsight, his timing was terrible. While Harris was away, his group published a story on CNN.com that reported, citing a single anonymous source, that Senate investigators were looking into a meeting between a member of President Trump's team, Wall Street financier Anthony something, and an executive of a Russian investment fund before Trump took office. The story seemed to advance the narrative of ties between Trump's campaign, his officials, and people close to the Russian President Vladimir Putin. One problem: when challenged on the particulars of the story, CNN acknowledged that it couldn't stand by it. It retracted it and apologized on Saturday. On Monday, Harris and another editor reported the piece, and a couple of people left. A couple of people have left, and we talked about this too, I believe on Monday, that these people were, they left, the CNN reporters that came up with this story, they left CNN. Why did they leave CNN? Well, because they were caught in a lie and CNN wouldn't back them up. That's essentially why they left. You know, in previously, I guess the word from the top is go after Russia, go after Trump, use whatever news you can do. And apparently it didn't work in this case because CNN's really been caught in a bunch of lies here. And they were very angry that their story was retracted. So that's how that works. What else is going on? What do we got here? I have to look closer. This is such a small screen. It's tiny. What is it? Oh, and then it flipped on me. And I don't have my little prop thing to hold this deal up. You know what? This is what we're going to do. You're going to give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to get my little thing so I can prop this up. Hang on. This is called me being prepared. So hang on 1 second. Literally 2 seconds. Hang on. I'll be back. I'm on the way. Don't leave. I need friends. Don't leave me. What the hell are you doing? All right. Oh, see? I got a little thing here. Look at that. Isn't that little thing great? Okay, now I can prop it up. Set it right here. Actually, I kind of like broadcasting from the couch. It's kind of fun. You know, I wish I didn't have to have the microphone here, but if I didn't have it, it'd be all echoey and yeah. So let's see. Consensus marks Supreme Court term. I don't even like that. Let's look at that story there for a second. The idea that there's consensus in the Supreme Court kind of scares me, and it should probably scare you too. Consensus on what and for what reason? There is usually very little consensus on the Supreme Court, and where they're all cahootin' together, all I see is problems in the future. But maybe that's my pessimism hanging out. The Supreme Court term that ended this week was marked by caution emanating from the court's center, a dynamic that saw the justices move in a relatively modest manner as they sought consensus on high-profile cases. This is from the Wall Street Journal, by the way. The court's conservatives prevailed in most of the cases during the term, but their liberal colleagues, who lost the chance to direct the court's long-term trajectory following President Donald Trump's election, gave up more ground than they might have preferred, winning some influence over outcomes. Well, I don't know. This is just, I'm not a big fan of the Wall Street Journal anymore. It seems like well, let's put it this way. It's a very big government Republican publication. That's what it is. It's not about conservatism. It's not about smaller government. It's about big government. It's about having the right control things versus the left control things. And the truth is, none of them should be controlling things. It should be the American people controlling things. But no, we're the Wall Street Journal. Yes, we're on Wall Street, and we have a journal, and that makes us important. Many of us went to very prestigious colleges, you see, and prestigious colleges mean prestigious everything else. We're covered in prestige, and so you should recognize what we're covered in and want to cover yourself in it as well. That's what they're saying here. Cable news wars, Hannity dominates. Well, of course he would. He's the fattest one of the bunch. Have you seen that guy? His face has just exploded. And it's like a very slow explosion. It's like watching those really cool slow-mo videos. I love those. God, I'd love to have a slow motion camera. I would just sit here and it would look like I'm not even moving because I'm not. Anyway, those are really cool. So Hannity's winning. Apparently he ate the next 3 contenders. Illinois becomes North America's Venezuela. Good. Well, it's just, Illinois doesn't have the tech base that California does. If that tech base went away, if they got smart and just walked out of California, went to Texas, went to any state really, other than California, or even better, if they like the warm weather, fine. Pick up, move to Arizona. It's not all that far. And there's some lakes there. It's cool. Whatever. You have to deal with the snakes, but you have to deal with those in California as well. If they just picked up and moved to Arizona, their whole kit and caboodle, and they would save literally billions of dollars a year in taxes and all this, that, and the other thing, and they wouldn't have to deal with California. Well, if that were to happen, California would go, woo! And they would be begging people to ignite nuclear weapons in the San Andreas Fault and then just blow them off into the ocean. Maybe not. Maybe that's just wishful thinking. Is that a possibility? Has that ever gone through Congress? That we could just, okay, you want to do your thing, fine, California. We're going to literally separate your landmass from the rest of the planet Earth, and you can just have it. And then we would have our own beachfront property. They can have their own island, just shove it out there, and then we'll have our own beachfront property, and we can, run a proper thing. And by the way, there's going to be a wall. They ain't coming back. Just saying. More plague in New Mexico. Ooh, the plague. Does it? Oh no, that's leprosy. Armadillos. Armadillos, the little things. I guess there's some around here. I don't know. I've never seen one live in person. I saw on Facebook somebody that I know, this has been a month ago, so ago, posted, hey, I saw this on the road, and it was in Kansas, so I guess they're around here, maybe migrating up from Texas. But armadillos, don't touch them. Don't mess with them, because they carry leprosy, and I'm not shitting you. Now, leprosy today is curable, of course. It's a bacterial infection, and they, little penicillin shot in the ass, gamma goblin, you're fine. But who wants to say I had leprosy? That's not a way to pick up chicks in bars. Although, like I'm the person you want to ask about picking up in chicks in bars. Theoretically, it would not be a good way to start a conversation. That's all I'm saying. Of course, you say, I had leprosy, and she says, I still have AIDS. Oh, great. Fantastic. Well, I guess we're living dangerously tonight, aren't we, sweetie? Yes. Update. People throwing up, fainting, screaming at Broadway play. Okay, well, that seems like a hell of a show to me. Can I just get tickets to watch the crowd? Are those cheaper, or are they actually more expensive now? I don't know. I love this. We keep getting these stories, man. We keep getting these stories, and it's a scary damn thing. Now, okay, go to the story. No, I don't want you to reset. I want you to go to the damn story. Yellowstone supervolcano still shaking. Whole lot of shaking going on. Yes. I don't think people know how dangerous that is. See, we know very little about earthquakes and volcanology. We know that they happen, and that they can be dangerous, and that what sort of danger is possible relative to what we can glean happened in the past. But as far as predicting them and deciding if they're going to happen again, that's virtually impossible. So, yeah. And you got a lot of people going, okay, earthquakes, no one really knows, and it's going to be fine, so don't worry, just relax. Which is, you're right to be that way. But at the end of the day, we don't know. So anybody and anybody's theory is equally as valid. So when somebody comes out and says, oh no, this is the end of times. We're all done. Sorry. Run up your credit cards, buddy, because it's going to all end. that guy has just as much validity as the people that say it's never going to happen, because I guess they don't want to believe it happens. And if that super volcano, it's a super volcano. This is not run-of-the-mill pimple volcano, Mount St. Helens, which, by the way, caused a lot of damage and was felt globally. But this is hundreds of times larger than that. It would blanket all of the United States initially. Well, in the first couple of days, it would blanket the entire Midwest in several feet of ash. If it didn't kill you with the initial blast, you're covered in ash, and ash is bad. Volcanic ash, it's very fine, and it comes down, but it's silicate, right? So it's glass, and you breathe that stuff in, and it permeates the alveoli in your lungs, and you bleed to death internally. You drown in your own blood. Fun. Hard to get away from. It clogs up aircraft. It clogs up car intakes and all this stuff. So very nasty stuff. And several feet of it falling. It's going to put so much of that crap up in the atmosphere that we're going to be praying for global warming, because we're going to have a new ice age starting because the sun's been blocked out. Update, over 800 earthquakes have now been recorded at Yellowstone's supervolcano over the last 2 weeks, with the ongoing swarm taking place on the western edge of the national park. But there is virtually no risk of the volcano erupting. Oh, yeah? Is that right? No risk at all. It's just shaking to bejesus. You can't even freaking walk. You know? You look like you got Parkinson's. And it's just the ground. But there's no possible way that this is going to blow. Right. I guess I can look at it up here. It says, but there's virtually no risk of the volcano erupting. The United States Global Geological Survey, USGS, who's always right about everything, currently lists the volcano alert level as normal. This is normal? Wait a second. If it was normal, we wouldn't have a bunch of stories over the past year or two about an huge upsurge in earthquakes happening at Yellowstone National Park. That means it's not friggin' normal, right? This is something new, and we're all going to die. I just have to, is that sad? AV because of the date. Asia Air, if you want to go, because the Airbus that you're in, everybody grab your ass and hold. The other night, I get my hell, my world, Asia doesn't exist. I haven't shown you the take it. Information. Dialogue, illness, and yeah. I can't see it, and maybe it will speed up the internet connection. All right. So, book live. Was it we got to find out here. Was it a legitimate brawl, or was it just another cop acting out like they do? Because I'm a cop. You see my badge? Thing is, the left took it to a place it never should have gone. They made the supposition that they're racist and they're going against black people. That is simply not the case. There's absolutely no evidence to pull. They got into the policing job so they would have authority over people, so that they could use force, good percentage of them. I think there's a lot of hothead cops out there. Far more than there are goods and what have you. And people and the police officers are more cognizant of the fact that they can get caught. But they still do a lot of garbage. And it seems like, well, the cities are going to want to back them up. Why? Because if the cities come hard against the cops, then that shows wrongdoing. The city is the one that owns and trains the police officers, so it would show culpability to the city. And the lawsuits that would be involved would be even greater, and the cities would go bankrupt. Cities don't want to lose any money. So that's why they stand behind the police officers. A shocking moment that a thug knocks a police officer unconscious in a late-night street brawl is captured on Facebook Live as 3 men are charged. Why are you resetting? I don't want you to reset. I didn't tell you to reset. Well, what the hell? Now I'm stuck because everything's blank and I have nothing to talk about. Okay, it came back, and the first thing came back was an ad with a picture of a very ugly person. So that's nice. That makes me happy. Shocking moment. A violent thug knocks a police officer unconscious in a late-night street brawl has been captured on camera. Bystander Jonathan W.M. O'Connor, he would be pissed if he heard that. M.W., you son of a bitch! Right. I don't like that guy, by the way. He is the person that should have been arrested in this incident. W.M. No, you're not. You're an asshole. That's what you are. Was filming a Facebook Live video when the fight broke out Tuesday. The footage shows an officer being knocked to the ground before two more policemen come to his aid and handcuff one man. So this was just a thug going after a cop here, and it just happened to be the poor guy. Facebook Live, look, I'm out for a great night. I never get out of the house. I'm out with friends. We're having some drinks and we're partying. I haven't had this much fun since high school, and oh my God, there's a fight. Yeah. Maybe that's good. I don't know. I wouldn't mind catching that stuff. I probably wouldn't stop talking about it until there was some sort of court order. What else is going on? Philippines' new law. Sing national anthem or spirit or face prison. God. Oh, man. You know, it's just the wet dream of every Bernie Sanders on the planet to be Kim Jong-un. Is it not? These are the people, the Bernie Sanderses of the world, are the ones that, they're not the first to go out and condemn the Stalins and the Pol Pots, the communist mass-murdering thug leader bastards. They're not going to firstly condemn them. Now, if they're asked about it, they say, oh, no, Stalin was a bad person, and that's communism. I'm not talking about communism. I'm talking about Democrat socialism, and it's so fantastic. Well, socialism is simply communism light, and it always leads to communism, so that's not much of an argument. Democrat socialism doesn't really work, especially in the United States, as the government has a predilection for governing against the will of the people or against democratic rule, hence what the Supreme Court has been doing to Donald Trump's executive orders regarding immigration. So, or what the federal courts have been doing. Supreme Court hasn't really fixed that yet. I'm not happy with the ruling, but then again, I'm not happy about much at all. But these guys like the Bernie Sanderses of the world, all they really want is power, and the type of power that Kim Jong-uns have, and what's this, I don't even remember the leader of Philippines' name. I don't know what his name is, but this guy's nuts too. And they just got to be sitting in their chairs, you know, that was paid for through fraudulent money gotten from a loan from your wife's defunct college, going, I just want to kill. Bernie Sanders, I could literally see him being the guy, you're strapped to a chair, you're naked, and they're asking you questions that you can't answer, right? And Bernie Sanders is the guy that walks in with hip waders and a freakish smile on his face, disheveled hair, and all he's got is like a hatchet and a melon. You don't know what he's going to do, but it ain't going to be fun, right? The melon's going somewhere. You can only imagine where. And he might use the hatchet to get it there. Helicopter drops grenades on Venezuelan Supreme Court. Well, that'll do it. Wonderful. Driverless mini cop cars to patrol Dubai. Well, okay. Another financial crisis not likely in our lifetime, according to Janet Yellen, although everyone else on the planet says the exact opposite of that. I've heard a lot of people predicting that there is going to be a global crash, because if you look at the stock market, it's all fake money. It's been fake money for a while, and it's inflating right now. It's inflating on good wishes and good vibes. And eventually those good vibes go away, and some things are going to crash, because you got to. The idea here is with Donald Trump that we're going to get some sort of manufacturing base back, and we're going to start building things in the United States again. We're going to have cheaper energy. The environmental regulations that have been stifling the economy are going to be slowed down, and will be able to actually build something in the United States and make some money with it. If that doesn't happen, if the tax burden isn't released, if Obamacare isn't taken care of, and if the EPA continues to ride herd over the U.S. economy like the Pope, then none of these good economic things are ever going to come to fruition. And it could also be this idea that Trump wants to invest in infrastructure via government money. What $1 trillion investment plan into infrastructure, or $1 trillion where the government spending, and people on Wall Street are going to find a way to get a piece of that. And they're counting on all this money being spent by the government, and they're happy because of it. So people are investing. They think there's going to be some payoff down the road coming via the government, and when it doesn't happen, then it's going to be whoo, right off the cliff. Now, not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing. If you've got money, not necessarily in stocks or bonds, but just cash. If you have some liquid cash, not tied up in things, not tied up in investments, but literally money that you can go grab out of the bank and say, this is my money. If you've got some of that, let's say 10 grand or whatever, which who the hell has that, you can actually be in a fairly good position, because there's going to be a lot of stocks that have growth potential. They're going to drop off the face of the planet, and you can invest in some things, and in 10 years or even 20 years, your investment is going to be huge, and you'll be able to retire on that. But then again, I have no money, so none of that applies to me. That's my life. NASA's super quiet supersonic plane. Who wants a super quiet supersonic plane? Part of the fun of driving a plane, flying a plane supersonically, is that you get to blow out people's windows. Many, many years ago, many moons ago, when I was just a young man, I was living at the Lake of the Ozarks. I had a pretty cool place there. It was second tier to the lake. Typical lake house. It was like a duplex thing. It was half in ground. The basement, one wall was missing in the basement, and that's where the garage was, and then you were on top. And the main door to the house wasn't like a normal door that you would have around here. It was a sliding glass door. Because, lake house, and that's how they did stuff, because it's primarily used by people during the summertime, but I happen to live there year-round. And I'm cleaning up the place, it's like a Saturday or a Sunday or something, and I'm being a little Sally homemaker, and I'm doing stuff and cleaning up, and I happen to be cleaning that front window, a little Windex and all that stuff. I had done the outside, and I came back inside, and I was doing the inside. And all I heard was, boom! I mean, a huge explosion, big enough that my hand that was on the glass, I could feel it vibrate a good little bit back and forth, enough that I thought this thing might just pop right in front of me. And sliding glass doors are pretty thick. And, it scared me, as if it would scare anybody else. It startles you. And I thought it would be, it's the Ozarks, lots of mountains, lots of stuff like that, lots of rocks. I thought it was somebody blasting, for some new building, like a new foundation or something. They had to do some blasting and get the foundation in there. Yeah, because that happened on occasion. Turns out when I went back to the radio station, apparently was flying low and broke the sound barrier. I guess they had special dispensation to do it, but sure as hell no one told me about it. I didn't get the damn memo. Scared me half to death. But yeah, I can see how that would cause a problem with a lot of people, because you think London is falling. It's really bad stuff. Let's see. NASA gives go ahead. Okay, open. Can we open? And we're processing, and we're processing, and we've processed. This is from GeekWire. It looks pretty cool, I guess. I doubt this is what it's going to end up looking like. NASA says it's cleared a significant milestone on the path to reviving supersonic passenger jet travel in the United States with the completion of the preliminary design review for its low-boom experimental airplane. The low-boom Flight Demonstration X-plane, or LBFD, is designed to create a soft thump. There you go, right in the forehead. Rather than the loud sonic boom typically associated with a supersonic airplane, the boom is what led federal authorities to ban supersonic passenger flight over land in 1973. The initial design stage for the LBFD is known as Quiet Supersonic Technology, or QuESST, QUESST, and the SST is capitalized. Isn't that nice? NASA's plan, drawn up with Lockheed Martin as the lead contractor, calls for transforming this technology and flying the plane over communities to collect the data rather than that regulators would need to erase this ban. So it's basically a proof of concept jet, and I guess they're going to build it or whatever, and they're going to start flying it over a neighborhood near you and see how pissed off people get. We're going to have a pistometer, and if it goes up too high, well, then screw it. But if people are all right with it, then we might have supersonic flight, passenger flight for the very, very rich and wealthy over the land once again. Let's do one more story here. We've gone about 30 minutes, and I try to keep the show to 30 minutes. It never works out that way. One more flight. Flight delay due to elderly lady throwing coins into engine for... Oh, shit. Look, you old bitch! What the hell are you doing? We're all gonna die. And then you've got two Asian pilots sticking their head out of the cockpit going, "It's time to pray." Oh, this is from the South China Morning Post. I hear that you can get the shit kicked out of you in China if you start screwing up like this. Come on. Apparently the internet connection at the South China Morning Post isn't all that whoopee. Are you going to go? It's not even loading anymore. It says, "Oh, I've loaded everything you need to see." I beg to differ. I literally don't see anything. Now it's 3%, 4.5. We can count it down. Who cares? Who cares? I'm done. I am done with that. All right. You know what? That's it. We did half an hour of a live show on the YouTubes. And we'll use the iPad to do that. I have the backup system ready to go because I'm a professional broadcaster. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining the show. If you tuned in, and we do it every night at 8 o'clock, do me a favor. Please go to my website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. And you can contact me that way. Send me emails. You can check out all the social media, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all that cool stuff. And most importantly, well, two things, actually. Do me a favor, when you get the links to all the shows that I do, whether it be the podcast or the live show, please tweet that out. Please send that to all your friends. I'm trying to do my best to grow the show and get a wider audience of people checking it out. That's number one. And number two, if it's within your capacity, I ask you humbly to go to my website, michaelnewmanproductions.com, and click the support icon. It's big and blue. It's right out front. It shows you about Patreon, which is like a website for creators, for artists and creators, people that do stuff like I do, and people that draw or do cartoons and stuff like that. They all go to Patreon, and people can support the work directly support the work that people do. I kind of want to try to stay away from advertising because it's just not the greatest way to make money in media anymore, especially online. And I would much rather have a closer relationship with the people that actually consume the media that I produce than have this filter of an advertiser who can sometimes decide what you're going to put on the air. So just go there, and for as little as $1 a month, you can help keep me in food and clothes and equipment. I'd really like to upgrade some stuff in the studio and make things better, get some different cameras and stuff like that. So all that stuff is in the future, God willing. So just help me out on Patreon, and we can make that happen eventually. All right. Have a great night, my friends. We will see you tomorrow. I think. Is this how you turn it off? I don't know how to turn it off now. Holy crap. It's still counting down. Okay, yes, I would like to stop. We're stopping now. Bye-bye.